It was a typical Saturday morning at the local Starbucks. The line stretched almost to the door, and the comforting aroma of roasted coffee beans filled the air. People were busy scrolling on their phones. Some were typing away on laptops, and others chatted in low voices. Everything seemed calm until she arrived. Ha, Karen! Karen wasn't just any customer. She was infamous around town. Known for patrolling her neighborhood like a self-appointed sheriff, she carried the same entitled energy everywhere she went. Today, her eyes darted around the cafe like a hawk scanning for prey. And unfortunately, her target was already picked, the young barista behind the counter. Karen ordered a caramel macchiato, paid with exact change like she was doing the store a favor, and then sat by the window. She sipped loudly, drawing annoyed glances from nearby customers, but nobody said a word. 15 minutes later, she marched back to the counter, cup in hand, and slammed it down with a dramatic thud. "I want my free refill," she barked, as if declaring her rights before a jury. The barista, a college student named Lily, smiled nervously. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but Starbucks refill policy only applies to brewed coffee or tea, not specialty drinks like macchiatos." Karen's face reddened instantly. Her voice climbed like a siren. "Are you telling me I don't get a refill? I've been coming here for years and you're denying me my free refill? This is discrimination." The cafe fell silent. Laptops paused mid-click, cups froze halfway to lips, and all eyes shifted toward the counter. Karen puffed out her chest, clearly enjoying the attention, as though she were the star of a courtroom drama. "I pay HOA dues that cost more than your paycheck, young lady. And now you want to rob me of coffee?" Lily tried again, voice shaking but polite. "It's just the policy, ma'am. I don't make the rules." That only fueled Karen further. She stomped her heels, pointed at the register, and demanded to see the manager. The line behind her groaned audibly, but she didn't care. Within minutes, Mark, the store manager, came out from the back. He was calm but firm, used to handling difficult customers. But this wasn't just difficult. This was a storm. "Ma'am," he began, "we value your business, but the refill policy doesn't cover specialty drinks. I'm afraid we can't give you another macchiato for free." Karen gasped, as though he'd just confessed to treason. "This is outrageous. I'll have your jobs." "Do you know who I am?" The cafe was tense. Phones quietly recorded. Karen had turned a coffee shop into her stage, and she wasn't done yet. The tension in Starbucks thickened like steamed milk. Karen planted both hands on the counter, leaning forward so close that Lily, the barista, instinctively stepped back. The crowd of customers shifted uncomfortably, some whispering, some raising phones higher to capture the unfolding spectacle. Karen's voice rose again, this time louder than the espresso machine grinding behind her. "So you're telling me that I, a respected member of the Homeowners Association, a woman who practically runs her neighborhood, can't even get a free refill? You think this is some kind of joke?" Mark, the manager, held his ground. "Ma'am, the policy is the same for everyone. We can offer you a brewed coffee refill if you'd like, but specialty drinks are excluded." That word, excluded, was like gasoline on a fire. Karen's eyes widened in disbelief and her jaw dropped theatrically. "Excluded? Did you hear that, everyone? He said I'm excluded! Do you see how they treat loyal customers?" She spun toward the audience of strangers like a politician at a rally. A man at a corner table muttered, "Lady, just buy another drink and sit down." Karen whipped around. "Excuse me? Do not disrespect me! I've lived in this town longer than you've probably been alive." The man chuckled, sipping his latte. "Still doesn't mean you're entitled to free coffee." That was enough to push her over the edge. Karen clutched her half-empty macchiato cup and waved it dramatically. "This is fraud! Starbucks owes me, and I won't leave until I get what I'm entitled to." Mark sighed, keeping his tone professional but sharp. "Ma'am, you're disturbing other customers. Please lower your voice." But Karen wasn't listening. She stormed past the counter into the seating area, stomping between tables. Her high-pitched rant bounced off the walls. "Everyone here should be outraged. They're stealing from us. I demand justice." Phones were recording from every angle now. Two teenagers near the door giggled as they whispered, "This is going viral for sure." Mark gave Lily a reassuring nod before stepping forward. "Ma'am, this is your last warning. You can calm down and order another drink or you'll have to leave." Karen sneered, planting herself in the middle of the cafe like she owned it. I'm not leaving until corporate apologizes to me personally. Do you understand? I'll shut this place down with one phone call. At that moment, a little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve and whispered loudly, "Mommy, why is that lady yelling about coffee?" The cafe chuckled softly, but Karen mistook it as mockery. "You're all laughing at me?" she shrieked. "Fine! You want a scene? You'll get one." The cafe braced itself. Karen was about to take her tantrum to a whole new level. The Starbucks air was thick with embarrassment. Customers who had come for a quiet coffee break now found themselves trapped in the middle of Karen's one-woman circus. She strutted back to the counter, her heels clacking against the tiles like warning shots. "You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone?" She snapped at Mark. "I'll have the health department in here tomorrow. I'll call the Better Business Bureau. I'll have your entire staff blacklisted." Mark took a slow breath, his hands resting firmly on the counter. His calm tone was almost unsettling compared to Karen's shrill outrage. "Ma'am, you've been warned multiple times. If you don't stop disrupting this store, I'll have to ask you to leave immediately." Karen laughed mockingly. "Ask me to leave. This is my Starbucks. I practically built this place with the money I've spent here." From the corner, someone whispered, "Yeah, one macchiato a week." Laughter rippled through the cafe. Karen spun, pointing her finger like a courtroom lawyer. "Who said that? Who's laughing at me?" The giggles grew louder. Even a few staff members behind the bar couldn't help but smirk. Karen's face turned crimson as her tantrum began spiraling out of control. She slammed her cup onto a nearby table, caramel dripping down the side. "That's it!" she roared. "Nobody leaves this cafe until I get my refill." It was such a ridiculous declaration that several customers burst out laughing. A teenager shouted, "What is this, a coffee hostage situation?" Phones recorded every second. Mark knew the situation had crossed the line. He pulled out his phone, his voice steady. "Ma'am, if you refuse to leave, I'll have to call the police." That word, police, sent a ripple of gasps through the cafe. Karen's eyes bulged. "You wouldn't dare. I know every officer in this town. They'll take my side, not yours." But her confidence was cracking. Customers were openly mocking her now, and she could sense the tide turning against her. One woman stood up and announced, "We're all just here to drink coffee. Leave the poor barista alone." The cafe applauded. The sound was like thunder compared to Karen's screech. She tried to shout over it, but the cheers drowned her out. Mark, seeing his moment, stepped forward. His voice was sharp, firm, and final. "Karen, you are officially banned from this Starbucks. Pick up your belongings and leave, now." The cafe went silent, waiting to see her reaction. Karen froze, her eyes darting around at the strangers who were no longer on her side. For the first time, her voice faltered. You can't ban me," she stammered. I'm a paying customer." But the manager's decision was final. The ban had been declared. The silence inside the cafe was sharp, almost electric. Everyone waited for Karen's next move. But for once, she had no words ready. Her jaw clenched. Her eyes darted left and right, searching for an ally among the crowd. But there were none, just smirks, raised phones, and shaking heads. Mark's calm voice cut through the tension. "Karen, the decision is final. You are banned from this location effective immediately. If you don't leave, I will call the police." Karen puffed up her chest, trying to recover her authority. "This is harassment. You can't ban me. I'll sue this whole corporation. Starbucks will regret this." But her threats had lost their sting. A man near the window shouted, "Lady, just go! Nobody cares about your refill." The cafe erupted in laughter again, and Karen's face turned beet red. Still, she refused to budge. She snatched up her purse, flung her half-empty macchiato into the trash with exaggerated flair, and marched toward the door. But as she passed the crowd of customers, someone muttered, "World's loudest free refill request." Another added, "This is definitely going on TikTok." Karen whipped her head around. "Don't you dare post this online!" Too late. Nearly every phone in the room had been recording since her tantrum began. Within hours, her screaming face and infamous "I'm excluded" rant would be plastered across social media, making her the star of her own unwanted viral video. At the door, she spun dramatically one last time. "You'll all regret this. I'll have this whole store shut down." Mark didn't flinch. "Goodbye, Karen." The automatic door slid open, and with a stomp of her heels, she stormed out into the parking lot, The moment the doors shut behind her, the cafe erupted into applause. Customers clapped, laughed, and congratulated the staff. Lily, the young barista, finally exhaled in relief. One customer leaned over the counter and told Lily, "You handled that like a champ." Others dropped generous tips into the jar as a show of support. Mark gave his team a reassuring nod. "Back to business, everyone. Let's keep the coffee flowing." The cafe slowly returned to normal, though the buzz of excitement lingered. People texted friends, shared videos, and laughed over Karen's meltdown. The little girl from earlier whispered to her mom, "Does that mean the yelling lady can't come back ever again?" Her mom smiled. "That's exactly what it means." Outside, Karen sat fuming in her car, gripping the steering wheel as if she could strangle it. Her phone buzzed with notifications. Neighbors, friends, and even HOA board members had already seen her viral outburst. For once, the queen of her subdivision wasn't feared or respected, she was laughed at. And in that moment, Karen realized the bitter truth. Starbucks had banned her, but the internet had destroyed her reputation forever.